No one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. That Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to our country, and that once again, we honored our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God.
The President bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term. The greatest statesman in the history of our country understood that the most dangerous threat to freedom is lawlessness. A young lawyer named Abraham Lincoln famously said, "There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law." Yet for several hours last week, mob law tried to interfere with constitutional law. Some say the riots were caused by Antifa. There is absolutely no evidence of that. And conservatives should be the first to say so.
That was 1 year ago today, exactly, as the House impeached Donald Trump for a second time. One of those two leaders stands by her remarks. The other is hiding from his.
I mean, it's really remarkable. The president bears direct responsibility. Mob law tried to interfere with constitutional Willie, we've all said, I mean, we've talked about Kevin McCarthy, a year ago today, saying that on the floor. But watching it again is it's stark. It's stark, and it's a direct reminder of just how shameless, just how gutless he and the Republican Party and all of those who are claiming that January 6th was much ado about nothing. It just shows that they're not only lying to Americans, but they're lying to themselves, and they know it.
Yeah, they told the truth for a minute. I agree. I was struck by it. That's an extraordinary document for history to hear Kevin McCarthy speak that way, including dismissing conspiracy theories about Antifa, which now, of course, have become commonplace in the Republican Party. I would point out, if you're wondering how long that sentiment lasts among Republicans, 2 weeks after he made that speech on the floor, Kevin McCarthy was down at Mar-a-Lago assuring Donald Trump that he was still with him, taking a photograph with him, posting it, and letting Republicans know that he was still with him as well.
Yeah, I know some people just tuned in and listened to it and was surprised. Look, TJ, do you have that queued up? Can we play that again?
Just the McCarthy part.
Yeah, the McCarthy part. Play it again, and it's so striking.
The president bears responsibility for Wednesday's attack on Congress by mob rioters. He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump. Accept his share of responsibility, quell the brewing unrest, and ensure President-elect Biden is able to successfully begin his term. The greatest statesman in the history of our country understood that the most dangerous threat to freedom is lawlessness. A young lawyer named Abraham Lincoln famously said, "There is no grievance that is a fit object of redress by mob law." Yet for several hours last week, mob law tried to interfere with constitutional law. Some say the riots were caused by Antifa. There is absolutely no evidence of that. And conservatives should be the first to say so.
And so that was Kevin McCarthy. And 2 weeks later, he was with the president, who he said bared the direct responsibility to mob law interfering with constitutional law, and also said 2 weeks before standing with Donald Trump that the lawlessness that the man he was standing next to and smiling with was, quote, the greatest threat to freedom. Let's just let that sink in for a second right there. That 2 weeks earlier, Willie, He says Donald Trump is the greatest threat to freedom. The lawlessness that he was responsible for. And 2 weeks later, he's gripping and grinning and leaking a picture to donors.
Yeah, and he went to rehabilitate the president down there. It's a reminder that there was a moment in time, it only lasted a couple of days, I guess, where Republicans could have turned and walked away from Donald Trump based on what happened on January 6th. That day, it sure sounded like it. If you listen to Lindsey Graham saying enough is enough, last night Lindsey Graham was on television saying, I can't support Mitch McConnell, talking about the potential Senate Majority Leader, unless he shows that he supports Donald Trump and what he called the America First agenda. So all these people who were so outraged and disgusted, and they were genuinely that day, showed no courage whatsoever. In fact, they were cowards walking away because they heard noise from Donald Trump's supporters and they worried about their own political future.